Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm just hopping on here. I know this is very short notice, but I wanted to finish this card. And so I thought, well, why don't I finish it with all of you? Because that seems like a good idea. I'm just going to, get to this page so I can see if anyone is commenting. And there we are. Okay. Turn down the volume. All right. I have done a lot of the prep work already, so you're going to see that, which is good. It's going to make everything a little bit quicker. And yeah, but you can see what we did. So I was working with, I have a class coming up. Hello, Lynn Scott. Next weekend on Zoom. And so I was making my thank you cards. And this is one of the ones that's going out in some of the kits. So I just kind of threw this together yesterday. I kind of knew a few things I wanted to do. And so I was pretty pleased with how it came together, and we're just going to recreate it now. So this is the card I've already made. You can see here I focused on current in colors. So new catalogs coming, everybody gets super excited about the new in colors, which don't get me wrong, they are fabulous. And I'm excited about them too, but I also remember how excited we were last year when these colors came out. So I just wanted to remind everybody that these colors still exist. They're still with us for another year. So I have concentrated on using Bumblebee, Just Jade, and Misty Moonlight. So like I said, I've already done all of the stamping. I've done the die cutting because it just makes it quicker for us when we're working together here. But I don't really like how the front of this one has turned out. So we're gonna redo that, and you're gonna be able to see what I did there, okay? So what I have done here, the other thing I wanted to focus on is I wanted to use this stamp because I feel like I've used a lot of this big guy and I've used a lot of this guy, but I haven't really used this one at all. So I really wanted to focus on that. So that was the first thing I did, is decided to use that. And then the other thing I haven't really done is use just these dies very much that go in the center of the flowers. So I wanted to do that. So that was my starting point. I chose to work on Very Vanilla. I've already stamped the Happy with the Misty Moonlight. I fussy cut that last night while we were watching TV. And then I also wanted to work with this cute little die, which I haven't done. So I've done those in Very Vanilla. We're gonna use the embellishments that are going to be retiring of the current in colors, even though the colors aren't, the embellishments will. And yeah, okay. So you can see what I've done here and the one I already put together. So I used my blending brushes very gently with some Bumblebee to just add a little bit of like a warm sort of yellow sunshiny glow behind where I knew I wanted to put my die cuts. And then I stamped right on that in the Just Jade with, again, this little leaf stamp that I haven't used at all. Yesterday was the first time I think I used it. So when I had all my supplies out yesterday, I went ahead and made the second one. But now that I've put the first card together, I went quite a bit darker with the blending, which I don't actually really love. And then I can see now I don't really like the placement of my leaves. They're gonna be too high. So we're gonna redo that. And because this is this nice, good quality cardstock from Stampin' Up, it's not thick, it's just the regular, very vanilla, we can turn over and redo that, okay? So we're gonna do that. And then we're just gonna put the card together and you can kind of see. So obviously it's gonna be quicker than if you did it yourself at home because you'd have to stamp and die cut, but you're still gonna get the idea of what I have done. So I'm just gonna grab a piece of scrap to put there for the blending brushes. So I'm excited to say that I believe the blending brushes are back now. They're available for you to purchase again. So you're gonna look at this and think, wow, your blending brush is really clean. Like, are you even using these? So what I have done is I've actually washed all of mine recently just to get a bit of the ink out of them. So I used this one yesterday and you can barely tell. So if you wanna try to keep them pretty looking and clean, just once you're done with them for the day, just run them under some water. I don't use soap or anything. I just run them under water and then I just leave them hanging over the sink like this to dry, and it's still as soft as it was when I started. So you just want to go in a circle on your stamp pad, move around a bit, otherwise you're always going to have the same bit of your stamp pad that's going to need re-inking. So if you're gonna use the blending brushes, you're gonna wanna make sure you have some re-inker, okay? So I know I've got ink on there now. I always am gonna rub a little bit there. So I'm gonna have this card here just so I can kind of stay. Okay, so I'm gonna rub off to the side, and then I'm just going to lightly create a little bit of like just a sunny glow in this corner. And you're just gonna sort of see that. It blends with the vanilla quite nicely, so it's really subtle, but you can tell on the finished card, and I just like the effect it created. So we've just got a nice sunny sort of bumblebee glow there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead because like I said, I went too dark last night and I didn't really like it. So we're gonna put that away and we're done with that. And like I said, I'm gonna rinse this off and that's gonna be good as new. Okay, we're gonna pull out our Just Jade. And because I want it to be quite similar to the one that I did yesterday, I'm gonna have this one right here beside me so I can kind of work on my placement. Okay, as you know, if you watch me, I'm using my Pierce mat because I'm using a photopolymer stamp, okay? So I'm gonna ink up this Just Jade. I'm gonna put this back here because I'm gonna be stamping off the edge. So I put one of these down here, kind of going off the page, something like that. That one I'm not actually too worried about. It's these other two that I didn't really love where I placed them. So I feel like this one is kind of comme ça, and then this other one is about like that. Okay, so I am happier with that. So you can see how dark it looks when we first stamp it, and then you can see as it sort of mellows and sits, it just sort of mellows is the best word for it. So I really love the color that it is mellowed. Okay, we're gonna put that aside. So now I'm gonna explain to you what I had done, and we're gonna just put this bad boy together. All right, so we've got all our pieces. So I stamped 2 of this in the Bumblebee. So one at full strength, and the second one, second generation, so stamped off. And I did the same with the Misty Moonlight, okay? I cut out 4 of these center pieces in Very Vanilla, so 1 for each. Like I said, I stamped the Happy and Misty Moonlight on Very Vanilla again and fussy cut that already. I did the 4U on a little scrap of Very Vanilla, and then I just cut the edges at an angle. I was gonna stamp this right on, but I decided I wanted it all sort of used with the dimensionals, so that's why I chose not to. And then I've got 3 of these cute little stem guys. Okay, let's pull out our adhesive mat because we're gonna be doing some very fine gluing. And we've got our liquid glue, and we also have our seal. So I work with both of these, almost always both on almost all projects. It's very rare that I do a full project with one or the other. I never actually used to use the liquid glue, but I really like it now. And I always have several on hand for when I run out. So I'm not sure if you have a preference or if you have tried working with one or the other. So we can do this one of 2 ways. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these guys on first. So I'm just going to put a little bit of our liquid glue in the center. And then I'm just going to put that, and I'm not sure, there might be a way that it's actually supposed to go on these flowers. I feel like it's actually like that, but I don't know that it really matters. So we'll just do all of those, and then they will be ready for us to put on our project. I feel like that one kind of lines up there. Oh, so this stamp set, this bundle, continues to be available until the end of June, okay? So again, I don't want people to forget about the things that are still available. This has got to be hands down one of my faves, and I have already decided that it will be staying in my collection even when it retires, if it's gonna retire, because I really love this Happy. It's just super fun. And I love these flowers. They're some of my favorites, and you always need some good flowers, right? They're great for Mother's Day, which is coming up, And, you know, just, I love everything about this stamp set. Okay, so there are those. And then we can also just prep this with our mini dimensionals. So this one, we just want them at the bottom because the top is going to overlap with the happy birthday. And then the happy, we can always take them off. So at the moment I sort of stick them in all the big spots. Don't forget though that if there is something on that last chance list that you are loving, you only have until May the 3rd to grab it. All right, let's bring our card friend over. And so what I actually did last night when I put this together is I just kind of put adhesive on all of them and then I just sort of wung it. So the first one I needed was this guy. So as long as you don't sort of press too hard, you can place it down and then you can kind of wiggle them around. And I actually found that just to be the easiest. So I wanted to make sure you weren't going to see any of the stems of those leaves. So I'm just going to kind of throw them down here. And I'm going to start with all of the flowers and then we'll just sneak those white little bits of, I don't know what you'd call it. I don't think it's a leaf, I don't know, a twig. It's like a filler. It's a bouquet filler. We're gonna stick that guy down there. At first I don't know, I kind of thought, oh, maybe I need 5 of these, like odds, right? You kind of, I think there's a thing in art to work with odds. But I decided I didn't want to add in a 5th. And I was okay with that. I didn't want to add in a different color. I wasn't sure which one I would do with the 3rd one in, so I feel like in the end it worked out okay because I added in all those little white guys and I have 3 of those little white guys. All right, and this guy kind of is gonna go like that. So I'm just gonna kind of, and then here we're gonna fill the spaces a little bit that we've left. So again, I'm just putting a little bit of this and I'm only putting it really on the thick part, the stem. And then I'm gonna pop that in there. You can see these are all moving because I haven't really pushed them down yet. So if I'm happy with them, which I think I'm pretty happy, I can apply a bit of pressure now. So they'll stop spinning around on my project. And this guy we're gonna pop up here. And then this one we're gonna put over here. And then what you can do, I'll show you what I usually do on the tips of things like this so that if it looks like they're sticking too far off your project or if you're worried that they might actually come off because they aren't adhered that tightly. Okay, so once I do this, get everything how I like it, then you can always take a tiny bit of your seal and just kind of run it along the edges of those and get them to stick down. Okay, so now we're just going to put on our greeting and our embellishments and then we're going to frame it out and we're done. So I want this to kind of go roughly like that because I only want to use the 3 embellishments, so I need this to be in the middle there. You could also put a tiny little bit of, hey Alex, dimensional down there. So if you want to put a little bit of dimensional somewhere else, the best thing to do is actually to cut little strips off the edges. So find a nice little spot on the edge of your sheet and then you just snip it. Oh, where'd it go? Then I popped it right off and lost it. All right, well that wasn't a very good example. Let's try that again. Oh, is it still there? Oh, it is still there. Okay, so it's still there. Then you're gonna peel it off and I'm just gonna put it down at the bottom. There we go, like that. Okay. So now peel off the backings and we are good to go. So Alex, you haven't missed a lot because I had done all of the stamping and the die cutting ahead of time. The only thing that I did here on this video was the blending brush and stamping of the leaves. And that's because I was prepping all of these items last night, and so I just wanted to, I was gonna put it together today, and I figured, well, why not put it together on here so people can see. Okay, so I put a dimensional on the bottom, but I'm putting a little bit of that liquid glue up top because I'm going to put it across the words there. So I want it to stick. I do often end up with glue all over my fingers, I'm not gonna lie, but you kind of get used to it. And I'm sure there are people that are better at this that don't. All right, so I'm gonna put that down there like that. Okay, boom. So it's funny, when I was designing this card last night, it was like 100%. I had no idea. I thought I was hoping that what I saw in my imagination would look good together, and I really just kind of randomly tried it out, and I'm really actually very happy with it. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a little time consuming, this card, like I said, which is why it's good that I've done a bunch of this stuff in advance. But because you have to use the either your magnetic plate on the big die cut, or you'd have to use some washi tape so that you didn't lose that, so that they were the actual right shape. It's one of those ones that's a tiny bit more time consuming. Okay, so then what I've done is, this is the current in color DSP stack of the Bumblebee. So we are just going to center this on top of that. I don't like to use that glue straight on Whisper White or vanilla. I sometimes find you can see it, and that's probably just because of how I apply it, not because you really can. So I do bring out the seal when I'm doing these layers. Okay, so we're gonna center that on there. And then you could really use whatever card base you want. I had contemplated using Very Vanilla, but I ended up using Bumblebee. And again, just another reason is because, you know, this color's only with us for one more year. Very Vanilla is always with us. And because I've got the DSP going all the way out to the edge, it doesn't really matter, but I like sort of the look that your whole card is that beautiful yellow color. All right, so because I want to stick this right to the edges and I want to have a little bit of wiggle room, you could do this one of two ways. You could actually put your adhesive right on the cardstock here, because I'm covering it all. So I'm gonna do that approach this time. Last night when I made the other one, I actually put the adhesive on the DSP. I don't really use the other edge of this, but when you're doing a giant piece like this, I don't know what you want to call it, applicator end is good. All right, I knew I'd done that. So I got a bit of adhesive here, but that's okay. I will use my adhesive eraser to get that off, which unfortunately you can't get anymore, but I still have mine. All right, and we will line that up. Perfect. Place that down. I will get out my adhesive eraser. I don't know if some of you guys, oh, my hair's in there, sorry, still have these. You just got to make sure your edge is clean before you use it on your vanilla. And then it's great because it just like picks up the glue. I don't know if you could use a normal, I don't think you could use a normal eraser. Sometimes you can just roll it off with between your thumb, right? But it is very handy. So if you still have one, or if you can find one somewhere else. Okay, and there we have it, guys. So short and sweet, I hope, because I'd already made it, but this was the one I made last night. This is the one we made today, so I'm much happier now that I'm so glad that I redid that bit of blending with the Bumblebee. You can see it just sort of peeking through there. I like where those Just Jade stems are better. And voila. So if you don't have this bundle, I promise you, You would not regret getting it. The stamps are amazing, right? So here's your stamps, they're photopolymer. You can see how much I have used these. They're stained, which is fine. That doesn't affect your stamp at all. And I think I have used almost every one of these now at this point. And then the dies, they die cut out all the flowers. You've got this other giant big leaf. You've got this guy. And then you've got those inner bits like I showed you today. And then you've got a few little extra fun little bits. You do have to fussy cut the word happy, but it's kind of fun actually once you get into it. So there we have it. So thanks for stopping by, for joining me. And yeah, if you're interested in any of these products, you don't have them yet, they're around till June. So don't worry, you don't have to rush to get them. But I know when I ordered the last set for the class I'm doing, it was on low inventory. So if that's of interest to you. All right, have a great day, guys. Thanks.